So last time, Roman proves to be one of the squad. Uncle LC takes care of Spike Wallace, and Orlando gets hemmed up by Antonio and his people. Want to know what happens next? Stay tuned. Hey, hey, y'all. Welcome back to Lighten Up with Letitia, and I'm Letitia, your host. And welcome back to my channel. And if you are here, then you are here to talk about the family business season 5, and we are on episode 4. This episode is called Reminisce. So we start off where we left off, where Orlando is being hemmed up by Antonio's people. And he's like, listen, if you want to do it, you're going to need to go ahead and do it right here at Dunkin' Motors. Next thing you know, Vegas comes to the rescue and he's holding 2 grenades. So listen, he came up and said, you know what, there will be no taking out my brother, because if you do anything to him or me, we all going down, and that's it. And Antonio's like, okay, he finally calls off his people. Well, wait. Uh-oh, look who's here. Say hi. That's Sugarfoot. I think this might be the first time he's ever decided to get on camera. And I think he's overseeing this video. So, you know, you can see him in the back. Say hi. You want to say hi? Okay. You said hello. All right. He really wants me to open up this window, but it's dark outside. So he wants me to open up this shade, but it's dark outside. But anyway, so um, Vegas is like, Antonio, maybe your people don't know who I am, but you know who I am, and you know I'm not bluffing. If you go down, you take out one of us, we taking out everybody. So Antonio calls off his people, and he's like, listen, we still can't find Vinny. Where is he? And Vegas is like, listen, we don't know where Vinny is, but you part of the table. You could have came to the meeting. You could have called us. You didn't have to do all of this. So he directly asked Orlando, where is Vinny? Orlando's like, listen, all I know is the last time I saw Ruby and my son, she was taking him to Disneyland. When Antonio questions about the fact that the baby had been ill, he said, listen, but I got him the treatment he needed. He is doing much better now. And the last time I saw Vinny, he was in LA. That's it. So Antonio's like, okay, I'll back off for now. But you tell your father, I don't want to have anything to do with the Duncans, the table, or the friendship until Vinny is found. Now later on, of course, Vegas and Orlando go to talk and find out that the little pow pows are fake. Thank goodness the bluff worked, because he had taken the pins out and everything and made it look like, listen, we all gonna be blown up. But, Vegas is clever. Anyway, so Vegas asked Orlando, okay, now for real though, is he alive or is he not? And Orlando was like, bro, you already know. The dude is gone. Child. Moving on. So here we are with Donna and Dominique, who are getting acquainted and they are having dinner, right? Dominique gets a call from Antonio, who just basically left with Vegas and them, and he is hot and bothered. And she's like, now, honey, you need to calm down. And she said, listen, you don't worry. It's a good thing that we've already been putting some other things into place. We have our plan together. Just maybe we may have to, put this plan together a little bit early. So she gets off the phone with him after calming him down, and then goes to Donna and says, so are you ready to join our alliance? And Donna was like, based on the things you told me, yeah, we need to go ahead and get this money. I'm ready. She said, well, do you think you'll be able to get your son Junior on board? Donna's like, don't worry about it. I'll get my son on board. So the plan begins. Now, Uncle LC and Nevada are playing a riveting game of chess. And Uncle LC beats Nevada. And he is just dumbfounded, like, I can't believe you beat me, and I need to figure out how you did that. So they get to talking, and he's like, you know what, what's going on with you and grandma? It seems like you guys are just so happy. I love to see it, but also I'm sad because it seems like the rest of the couples in the family are just not getting it together. And not only that, he feels like they're all down. And then he goes into talking about Mariah. It's like she's really, something's going on with her. She thinks that London unalived her dad, Harris. And so I really think maybe somebody should talk to her. So Uncle LC says that he will talk to London. Now, Sonia, she's in her room, sulking, missing her man. So she decides to call Junior, who is in his home, being jolly and picking out some clothing. It looks like he has somewhere to be. So he's picking out some clothing, and he gets a call from Sonia. Now, he saw that she was calling. He did pick up, but he didn't say anything. So she's like, "Oh, Junior, can you hear me? Are you okay? We need to talk. You love me. I love you. We need to talk. I want our marriage to work." And he's like, "There's nothing to talk about." Child calls her a Judas and then hangs up on her. Now, see, again, really, Junior's being very unreasonable. I mean, the way he is treating his wife is just unacceptable. She hasn't done a thing. Calling her a Judas, why? She didn't betray him in any way. He told her to stay in the mansion with the Duncans, and that's what she did. And now she's trying to reach out to him after, giving him some space. He is really starting to get on my nerves. Like, what is going on? Why are you treating your wife like that? Just anyway. And you newlyweds too, by the way. Crazy. Now moving on to the aunties. Aunt Chippy and Aunt Nene are giggling and talking about the sexcapades. About, remember last week where her and Uncle LC was in that back seat doing that thing. So then, they kiki and everything, but Sonya walks in disgruntled, and they're like, "What is going on with everything?" She's like, "I didn't have anything to do with the fact that Pops cheated on you and had him, whatever. I wish he would just stop acting like this." And so Aunt Nene was like, "Chippy, I think it's time. You need to tell her the story." So Aunt Chippy begins to tell part of her story. And this is why this episode is called Reminisce, because there's going to be a series of flashbacks to back when they were young Chippy, young Elsie, young Donna. This is Chippy's story. So back in Waycross, Chippy was a working girl at a place called Big Sam. So she was in a brothel basically. But she was a very studious person. Like, she was always reading a book and everything. And young LC and his brothers, Lou and Larry, were always at Big Sam's because they did business with Big Sam. So they walked in, and they wanted to have a drink and everything, but Uncle LC, well, he wasn't uncle at the time, so LC says, "No, I can't stay because Donna and I have plans," making us know that he and Donna were a thing then, right? Okay. So she ended up introducing herself. Chippy introduced herself to LC, and they got to talking about books because he was inquiring about what books she was reading. And so after she tried to entice him to stay and buy her a drink and everything, but he was like, "Nope, Donna and I have plans tonight, but it was nice to meet you." So he leaves out, but she's all googly eyed, and here comes Big Shirley. And she's like, "Listen, Chippy, don't even do it." So this is our introduction to Big Shirley. If you read the books, you know that Big Shirley and Donna, Nene, and Chippy all knew each other from way back in Waycross. Now, Big Shirley is also the character that is one of the main characters for the Family Business New Orleans that comes on BET Plus on Thursdays. So I will be also recapping New Orleans. Now, I'm not going to go back and recap 1 and 2 because they dropped 1 and 2 last week. And I was on the panel on Sunday with EJ the TV Junkie and the other ladies on the panel. So make sure you check out that video, run up that video, and we had a great time. Plus, we had a special guest, cousin cousin showed up. So you have to go there and watch it and talk and kiki with us, and then run through that first two episodes with us. But from this point forward, I'll start doing three and keep it moving. Okay, so back in Waycross, we get to meet young Donna too when Elsie leaves. And she is kind of disgusted about the fact that he continues to go to Big Sam's. Even though, like I said, he wasn't drinking or anything like that, whatever. He said, listen, I told you, my brothers and I have business with Big Sam there from time to time, and that's the only reason why I'm there. And she's like, but that place is beneath you. So we see that even young Donna was kind of a persnickety person, you know. So we hear that her daddy was a doctor. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so moving on. Now we're back in present day where Donna and Junior is getting dressed. And then Donna comes in and she said, you know what? I never paid attention to before. Wow, you look just like your granddaddy, meaning her father. So she gets all misty eyed and remembers when back when she used to love Elsie. Now, quite as kept, I think she still loved Elsie and never truly got over it, even though she married his brother. But still, I digress. Anyway, she got all misty eyed, and so Junior was like, "Oh, you really did love Pop, oh, huh?" Pop, huh? And so she's like, yeah, I really did. And so she said, I think I loved him because Elsie was just like my father. Now she's straightening his tie and everything. And then we go into another flashback to reminisce on Donna's story. Now, in that flashback, she's fixing young Elsie's tie and trying to convince him that her dad will like him and that he's going to get this job interview. He's like, but I just want your dad to like me. He said, but is he going to be okay with me wearing his tie? She's like, my dad has plenty of ties. It's going to be fine. She was speaking life into him before his interview. And then they started talking about the fact that they were, going to have a family and have kids and all that sort of thing, get married. And she said, starting with Elsie Jr. So they were a couple. They were a real thing and doing the doggone thing, right? So then she said, I want you to show these Duncans that you are a boss. Oh, wait. Now we're back in present day, where after that quick glimpse back, she is speaking life into her son the same way she was speaking life into Elsie back then. And she tells him, you know what, you're going to show these Duncans that you are a boss. And as a matter of fact, I have some people I'd like for you to meet to sit down and have a conversation about some new opportunities. So we'll see. Now, moving on to a quick scene with Rio. Rio pulls up to this car that's for sale, and there's a woman out there, and he inquires about the car. He said, yeah, I've been talking to the man who is selling this car. I'd like to talk to him. She said, oh, I'm sorry, it's my son's car, and he's out of town. Well, where is he? Why is he out of town? He started asking all these questions that were very weird and unnecessary for to be a stranger. Clearly you was looking for this man or whatever. She said, well, I sent him down to Georgia. Now I don't even know why she told him that much information. He's a stranger and none of your business. But anyway, he ended up finding out that this woman had a son who owned this car, and he is now down south, right? So then moving back, so we go back to the house, and Sonya was like, listen, so you and Donna never liked each other, talking to Chippy. And they were like, pretty much. And then he said, pretty much from the very beginning, they have always been like, what did she say? Meriwether and Bobby the Beast Boy. Okay, so moving on. They go back to another flashback where now Elsie and his brothers are getting out of a car. They're at Big Sam's. Now, Chippy's friend notices that from the window. She was like, hey, your friend's here. So Chippy runs downstairs to go and greet young LC. And they get to talking about books and everything they said they were going to talk about. So they're talking about books, having a really stimulating conversation. And then young Donna comes up. It was like, Elsie, let's go. They had a date or whatever. He was like, okay, I'll be there. I'll be there in a minute. Go ahead and go back to the car or whatever. She was like, no, let's go now. And One of the brothers, which I'm assuming is probably Lou, young Lou, was like, the man's having a conversation. He'll be down to the car. Let me walk you to the car. She was like, what does he need to be having a conversation with her for? They were talking about books. Oh, I didn't even know she could read. Child, she is immediately insulting Chippy, young Chippy. And they start throwing back, insults back and forth. They got to arguing almost to the point where they're about to fight. And Donna she yells out, whatever, anything, what did she say? She said, this right here makes it my business if he's talking to you, showing that she had an engagement ring. So now we know that they are engaged as well, right? Okay, so finally he was able to get Donna to go to the car. She storms off. And then young LC proceeds to ask young Chippy for a date. Not really so much a date, but for them to sit down and I want to talk to you tomorrow about these books. But still, it was a date and all up in young Donna's face. Moving on. Now we're back in present day, and Uncle LC is riding in a car. Looks like he's going to an appointment, and he gets a call from Larry. Now, don't forget, Larry, Kenny, Dennis, and Holly are now on the run after everything went down at Fresh Meadows, right? So Uncle Larry he's like, he apologized and he said that he's taking his meds and that he was doing much better, but he said he was going to make it up to him after everything that he put him through. He asks about his family and how Nene is doing, and then he asks how LC's family is doing. So Uncle LC tells him about the issue that they're having with Junior right now, tripping because he found out that Donna was his mama. Now, side note, up until this moment, I don't think we've seen them, and I mean Uncle LC or Aunt Chibi, I don't think we've seen them bring up Junior, ask about Junior, try to call Junior at all. We're on episode 4. I'm side eyeing them a little bit, but maybe they're just giving him his space. So moving on, Uncle Larry is like, well, when he found out about Junior finding out about Donna, he was like, oh, Lord have mercy. But at least you didn't marry her ass, and you dodged a bullet with that one. So then they go to a flashback again. Flashback is young Donna pacing in white. Of course, she was wearing white. And she was waiting for LC to arrive. And when he does, she goes off. She's like, my mom is tripping, she's freaking out. My dad thinks that you're not going to show up. This was their rehearsal that young LC missed for the wedding, right? She was like, we need to get to this rehearsal dinner. And Elsie was like, listen, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to call off the wedding. She's like, what? No, no, no. He says, I'm just not ready. She was like, don't you love me? Whatever. He said, I love you. He said, but I'm in love with somebody else, and we know who that somebody else is. Young Chippy. She promptly slaps his tail. And then he took it, and then he goes to leave. She started begging, please, 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 we can work this out. We can work this out. But he was like, I'm sorry. We can't do this. I can't marry you. I gotta go. He goes to leave, and she's visibly and audibly upset. She's yelling, and she said, you will regret this, even if it's the last thing I do. So, when people, they hold those things. So that brings us to present day and how we see this is about to play out with the Junior thing, which I feel like her trying to make LC pay was part of the reason why she told Junior um, about her being his mother alone and not waiting for Chippy and LC to tell them all together, which was the original plan. Okay, so moving on. Nevada and Rio. Uh, Rio asked Nevada to help him get some information on that woman that he was just talking to about that car. he says, "Hey, I need to see if she has a son." So Nevada, he does his little thing right quick. He said, "This is easy. Yes, she has a son. His name is Brandon. You know who Brandon is? Brandon is one of the carjackers. Brandon is friends with Roman." Okay. So she mentioned that she sent Brandon down to Georgia. So Nevada's like, well, listen, if you're looking for somebody in Georgia, the best place to start and the person to ask is to enlist the help of, guess who? Cousin Curtis. And so that's what they set out to do. Now, Uncle LC is in Brandy's office, Dr. Richardson, and doing a follow up about, how he had been feeling. She's like, oh my gosh, your testosterone levels are high. I mean, they're as great as a 30-year-old, you know? And so she's like, what have you been doing? You've been taking those supplements, child? He didn't even try those supplements. He said, no, but work has been a bit more exciting. His excitement and his work has been him going on that unaliving spree, taking out Jonah Silk, taking out Spike Wallace, and every time he would take them out, then he'd get a bone and in the Jones and in his bones. And you know what I'm saying? He was ready to get with Chepe. I mean, running home to her, telling her to get it together, get it ready. And in the back of the car, remember? Okay, moving on. So he don't need no dang on supplements, child. Not that what he is using is the most healthy, but moving on. Now we go to Junior, who is hyping himself up in the mirror, saying, he's the boss. He don't have to bow down to Vegas and them. He doesn't have to be second fiddle and all that sort of thing. Child, the doorbell rings, and guess who? It's Vegas at the door. Now listen, Junior, of course, he was nasty. He was like, listen, I told y'all, I don't want to have anything, I don't want to deal with y'all, whatever. So Vegas like, listen, listen, listen. I heard what you said. Okay, and really, the silent treatment is really stupid to me and it's getting on my nerves, but I didn't come here for no mess. I didn't come here to kiss your butt. I didn't come here to try to get you to do anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a damn about what you're talking about and what you got going on. This is not about you. This is not about dad. This is not about mom. This is not about Donna. Okay? I understand. Fine. You quit the family. But did you quit your job too? And he was like, Junior's like, what job? I ain't doing nothing at that Dunkin' Motors. He's like, Vegas is like, sir, I'm talking about the job that you asked Pop for, to deal with the Italians. You haven't been doing your job, sir. You haven't been keeping them in line, and Antonio out here running them up. So he was like, oh, Vegas is like, are you or are you not still loyal to the business? And he said, well, before I answer that, let me ask you a question, Vegas. Did you know? Did you know that Donna was my mother? And Vegas was like, yes, I did. I knew. Why didn't you tell me? It's like, man, I didn't want to hurt you. He said, F that job. And when it comes to the Duncans, I'm as loyal to y'all as you are to me. Now listen, I can understand him being upset, right? You have time to grieve, get your anger out. But sir, how dare you? The nerve of you to say that the Duncans weren't loyal to you. They went to a whole war with Brother X because of your ass. Because of you. Brother X taking out people with y'all last name because of you. And all your tail was doing was running away to some other country. Not even dealing with the stuff. That's why Vegas had to get in your behind before. And how he was disappointed in you before. Now I didn't got mad because you know what? Because Junior is just being absurd. The nerve of him. Anyway, moving on. So Curtis ends up calling Vegas. Vegas gets in the car. He's like, listen, I got some information for you, whatever. So then he's like, well, what's wrong? So he gets to telling him what just had transpired between him and Junior. And Curtis was like, well, did you tell him the whole story? Which makes us know that Curtis also knew that Donna was his mama. Did you tell him the whole story though? Did you tell him that if Aunt Chippy hadn't saved his life, he might not be here today? So Vegas was like, that's true. Maybe I should go back and tell him. So they get off the phone and Vegas goes back to tell him when he sees Antonio and Dominique are coming into Junior's home and Donna's home, of course. So he calls Uncle LC and says, Pop, we have a problem. And it's bigger than what we thought. And that's how the episode ended. So we see that Junior is tripping, and we see that Donna and Dominique are scheming. It's about to be some mess, something crazy, and something really big is about to go down, and we are here for it. So if you have stayed this long, I really appreciate your support, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to join me again on Thursdays for the Family Business New Orleans, which I will be doing these simultaneously. So for those of you that are watching on BET, we're in season 5 right now. Again, this is episode 4 called Reminisce. And if you are a BET pluser, then make sure you join us watching New Orleans. Also, I dropped a video earlier this week talking about the DEI efforts and whether or not we are going to be boycotting these businesses. But as a small commercial, and I think I'm going to start doing this from now on, is to point out the Black-owned businesses and companies that I have personally promoted and that I'm wearing for the video. So I told you in the first video that my glasses are from a Black woman-owned business. And I forgot to tell you about my nails though. My nails are also done and my toes are the same color. They were also done by a Black-owned beauty business, as well as these earrings. Now I cannot remember the name of this business. I got these earrings so long ago, but they were a vendor at an event that I went to years ago, and I'm saying over a decade. So I have another pair like this. These are actually crocheted and they're over top of a wire. And I have another pair that's in a different set of colors. So anyway, again, if you've been here this long, again, I appreciate you. I'm on my road to 100 subscribers, so don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like, share, comment what you thought about this episode, comment how you feeling about Junior right now, and then let's continue the conversation there. So until next time, holla.